Okay, so hey Santa Fe students, today we've got with us Michelle Thompson, who's the candidate for the Progressive Conservative Party in Antigonish County. So we're just going to go through a couple questions, put out some info for you guys, and so we'll turn it over to Michelle. Michelle, just wondering if you could just tell us a couple things about yourself, like maybe some hobbies, some hometown type stuff, whatever really you're thinking.
So thanks for having me.
Anytime.
My name is Michelle Thompson, and I'm a registered nurse. I've lived in Antigonish since I was 18. I came here from Cape Breton. I'm from rural Cape Breton, and came to St. Martha's School of Nursing to train as a registered nurse. So I stayed here after that. I met my husband in my second year of nursing school, and other than a short stint living abroad in Scotland, we've stayed here.
Oh,
so
nice.
I did my degree through the distance nursing program here at St. Evex. And I graduated in 2006 as an ex-graduate, and I now teach in that program. So that's been a nice transition for me. So I do teach 2 courses a year. I teach the mental health courses, community-based mental health. Yeah. So, and then sometimes I teach. I have taught in the past in the actual school of nursing itself when they needed support with a course. So, very fortunate to have that opportunity. So I've worked in acute care. I was an emergency room nurse and an intensive care nurse for a while. I managed at St. Martha's for a period of time. I managed the ER and ICU for a period of time. I've worked in public health. I've worked in the school board. And now I am the CEO at Arcane McDonald Nursing Home, which is a nursing home in the town.
Okay. Yeah.
For 136 residents, and we employ roughly 250 to 285 staff.
Wow, Michelle. Okay, so you've had a lot of experience in and around the healthcare industry,
Yes.
Education side as well, teaching some classes.
Yes, yeah.
That's
so
super
I've
cool.
been very lucky. Nursing's been very good to me. It's a wonderful career. It's very transferable to a number of like you said, education, and now I'm hoping it will transfer well to politics.
Yeah. Speaking of which, that's awesome. Making that turn over to politics
Yes.
after being so long, going through the nursing and education side of things as well. So yeah, that's another question that we were just wondering a little bit about is what ended up kind of driving you to get into the political sphere in the first place?
Good question. I ask myself that sometimes too. So I think I've always been fairly engaged,
Nice.
Probably more so towards my 30s, really started to become more involved in my community and interested in terms of relationships and how things worked and how decisions were made. And then in 2009 and 2013, my husband ran for the PC party. So again, just a different insight into campaigning and understanding that political piece of community engagement. And then over the last couple of years, as a healthcare provider, seeing the changes in healthcare, certainly working in long-term care during a pandemic motivated me to take my knowledge and lived experience and bring it to the political realm in the hopes that if elected, I will be able to influence some positive change.
That's fantastic. So both a little bit seeing some political aspirations in the past and knowing that you could be the one to step in there, and then seeing some issues that you would like to confront in healthcare and in the province in general.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. It's been a wonderful experience so far. I've really enjoyed it.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, it's been I've been out on as many dirt roads in the county and as many streets in the town as I can, trying to interact with folks and understand what their concerns are.
Yeah. That's awesome, Michelle. And that kind of gets me thinking down the road of what are some of the key issues that you and your party are really seeing right now that you think are at the kind of the forefront of this election.
So healthcare obviously is a priority, and across the spectrum, right across the lifespan, we're seeing people wondering about healthcare, worried. So lack of access to primary care providers, physicians, and nurse practitioners, which is something as simple as and as important as getting a prescription refilled if you don't have a physician or access to a primary care provider. I hear from seniors that want to stay in their homes longer and make sure that they have access to home supports in order to do that. I hear about long-term care facilities, certainly from my colleagues as well as people in the community, and certainly around supports for folks with mental health issues and health promotion in terms of mental health across the lifespan. So it's been a variety. Of course, you hear about rural roads. In a rural riding, you can expect that roads are an issue. And I've also heard a lot about affordable housing.
For sure. And I think that definitely touching on that mental health piece and the affordable housing one, like those are two issues that we've really heard like from our student sphere on campus that have been like some big issues. So I'll definitely key into that mental health question for you, because it's definitely one of the things that we've been seeing a lot with students in terms of, and it's a stat that I keep finding myself bringing up, but like 80 like on federally, 84% of students this past year, especially coming out of a pandemic time, we saw 84% of students saying that they either had a mental health concern or issue that was further exacerbated, or a completely new mental health illness or affliction. So it really is at the forefront for students right now. And I'm kind of just wondering, in terms of you and your party, how do you guys see supporting mental health of all Nova Scotians and some ways to do that within the next following few years?
So one of the commitments in the PC Party platform is universal mental health care. So just like we can access, free physicians or free health care when we go to the emergency room, we feel that it's important that people have access to mental health providers in a way that's suitable for them. So first of all, allowing community-based providers in order to build a government for a certain percentage of their clientele. Because one of the most important things that happens when you seek therapy, it's the relationship between the therapist and the person. And so when we broaden that and allow community-based providers to give universal mental health care, it allows you to have more choice in terms of who you build that relationship with, and you go through that therapeutic journey together. So there would be a specific department of mental health and addictions as well that would look at health promotion and prevention, as well as treatment over the lifespan.
Okay.
Looking at curriculum, so there's already a grade 9 mental health curriculum, but really expanding that, helping children and youth understand their emotions, learn to regulate, get the skills that they require. And then there also a 3-digit crisis line would be implemented.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
so that folks can get immediate access, and also 24/7 counseling, telehealth counseling, which I think is important. So increasing accessibility. So what we want is always to increase knowledge, increase help-seeking behavior, really reducing stigma around anyone that's seeking support for mental health concerns, and frontline access to care.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like a lot in there sounds absolutely unbelievable in terms of like universal mental health care.
Yes.
But one little element that I'd love to pick out is on the education side of things. So you're talking about having like proactive lessons and just like teachings in mental health care for students as low as 9th grade.
Oh yeah, easily, and certainly in the early years. So this is a little bit off the topic of the platform itself, but certainly when I worked in the school board, working really closely with children as soon as they come into school to be able to name their emotions, able to regulate them, co-regulate them with another adult. Right?
For sure.
Supporting families to be able to do that as well, and talking about their emotions and feelings as they go through, and building skills and knowledge, how to support friends, peer support, things like that. So those are the prevention things. Looking at healthy living, right? Getting great sleep, eating, exercise, those types of things, managing your stress are really important, and those are on the prevention and promotion side of health. Yeah. And also we need the access to treatment.
And I love to hear that, because I do think that education is one of those boundaries that could really be alleviated with just like a little bit of proactiveness in that area. So I think that could be incredible. Just going on another little side of things here, more on like the work accessibility and maybe like affordability front. So for students, one of the large things that we hear around campus is that students really do want to stay here, and they absolutely love it in Antigonish, and then also end up loving it here in Nova Scotia, all over the place. But one of the things we run into is that either we may not have that work experience throughout our time here, or we may not be able to get that job after that kind of allows us to be able to set up and build a bit of an infrastructure for ourselves, a space to be able to continue living here. So I think one question from students is kind of how would you and your government really like prioritize like that retention of people, and then like even less, like a bit more specifically, that student retention side of things?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I don't think there's one size that fits all. So we've looked at, really, as a province, we have about 19% of our population is over 60 years old.
Okay.
Maybe a little better than that. So we do want to retain people. We do want to stop out migration. We want in-migration, but we also want immigration as well.
Right.
So the goal would be to double the population of Nova Scotia by 2060.
Wow.
So, you know, that's a pretty ambitious goal, and it's going to require a lot of different things. So, number one, looking at economic opportunities for folks.
Okay.
So there's a couple of programs that the PC Party has put out. So one is called the Better Paycheck Guarantee. So encouraging small and moderate-sized businesses to be able to increase wages for people by reallocating 50% of their provincial corporate taxes to the bottom 80% earners in their organizations, which would increase wages and put more money into the economy, which generates more money.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman in town who lived here years ago that used to say you have to spend $1 to make $1, and so those are the things we want to generate. Also, loyal programs. When we generate a local Nova Scotia economy, it creates more opportunities for people as well.
Yeah.
So this is called the Nova Scotia Loyal Program. So really trying to reward Nova Scotians, reward people here for shifting their buying patterns to local Nova Scotia-made products. So helping local business people, our artisans, our producers, but also keeping the money that we spend in our local communities, right? So in Nova Scotia, we buy from our neighbors, and so it allows us to promote business. I think the pandemic's also shown us that we can live locally and we can work nationally and we can work globally. So one of the things that I have heard about internet coverage as an example. So making sure the infrastructure is there, and so if there's no ability for service providers to give internet to certain areas in the county or in Nova Scotia in general, there's satellite internet, which you would probably understand and know more about than me, but there is a program in the PC platform where we would buy that initial setup. We would make sure that you have the initial equipment that you need to have good internet, and you would then be responsible for the monthly fee associated with that. So infrastructure with roads, you know, how do we create great tourism opportunities? There's no more beautiful place, and we could easily 100%. Be a four-season destination. So there's lots of ways. We need healthcare workers, right? We need skilled trades workers. So there is a lot of opportunities, and when we see a barrier for us, Tim Houston's very keen, he's the leader of the PC Party, to talk about how does that barrier become a solution, right? Where do we look at that so that it becomes a solution-focused approach, very practical, common sense, and you know, we want to be agile. We want to be able to move quickly and meet those market needs. Yeah,
and I love all those answers. I think that's that those could all be like large cornerstones in the way of kind of stopping that out migration, just like, and as you were saying, double in that time, providing like that infrastructure and the opportunities for people to be able to stay here, and the healthcare opportunities to be able to be healthy in your province. I think that those are three bases that are going to be fully covered, which
and
is
fostering innovation and entrepreneurship.
Right.
We
Yeah.
want
100%.
people to be able to take those risks and know that they're in a supportive environment where, you know, we want them to achieve that economic and personal success that they're seeking.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And like being able to take that chance here, and as you were saying, it being such a beautiful spot to be for tourism and to live, really will, I believe, drive that up.
Yeah.
So just another couple of questions, like specific to the student experience.
Yes.
And one of the main concerns that we've seen, like from students, is on the equity side of things. So like especially like throughout the pandemic, we've seen that some groups have been disproportionately impacted by the effects of the pandemic, but it's also kind of shone a lot of light on the fact that different groups within our society are disproportionately impacted by just the systems that are around us. So one question that we kind of formulated was just, how do you and your party, and like what policies would you guys pursue, if any, to really like support that social and racial justice piece in our communities?
So equity and diversity is very important in the PC platform. So the PCs were actually had the first female MLA in the province. Nova Scotia was the 9th district to accept same-sex marriages, and that happened under PC government. So very inclusive party. One of the things I think that's very important for us to do as a party is to ensure that we have representation from all communities in our government.
For sure.
So really encouraging people from diverse backgrounds, diverse communities, to put their name forwards and be very present in communities as that voice at decision-making tables. So in terms of that, being very, in my riding, being very accessible to folks, really being able to meet with people, understand the challenges where perhaps our policies exclude people, and looking for that bias, looking for that information from communities and trying to work with them to understand what they need. So in many diverse communities, they already know, and it's about hearing their voice and being present with them. In addition, around the diversity pieces, again, embedding curriculum across all grades, to help people understand differences and understand the uniqueness of individuals, but also the commonality between us all. So starting at early ages, working across that P to 12 age group in order to support deeper understanding.
That's fantastic. And I love a lot of what you said there. Like, firstly, really just being able to acknowledge the fact that there may be XYZ gap in a policy that could be affecting this sector of the population in that way, and then two, being able to really be able to listen to those that are being impacted and work towards that is huge. And then thirdly, even bringing that back and saying we want to get that education piece started early on so that people can understand those differences, and then also what makes us similar in a way.
And really listening to people's experiences. You know what I mean? People are experts in their own experience. They're expert in their communities. And so really allowing that voice to come forward and being responsive to people's concerns is essential.
For sure. That's super powerful. Thanks for that, Michelle. So we did have one other question. It was more on just the affordability side of things. So we saw that one of the some of the main struggles on the student side of things have really been tuition. We've seen supplies also pretty crazy, and then also the housing side of things. So if you would just to touch a little bit on how you would like to go about kind of making sure that financial barrier isn't the thing that's standing between students finishing their degree and not. That'd be great.
That's not an easy question either.
Oh, for sure. It's very, very loaded, very all over the board.
So I know that through there's a lot of folks that do take out loans to go to university, right? And I know that is difficult for folks. And a number of students, we see them at the RK, we see them across the community having to work during their university experience when we know that there is, there's a heavy case of workload in a number of courses. So I don't know if I have an easy answer for that. So certainly the student loan program is there, making sure that we have opportunities for students in our community if they do need to work to subsidize, making sure that we have economic opportunities for folks after they graduate. Looking at the university, I know that there are a number of programs, scholarship opportunities, and how do we support the university in those types of endeavors, So
for sure.
It is a difficult question. I know it's expensive. I have two kids in university right now.
Oh yeah.
And so this is the first year that we've had two children in at the same time, and so certainly our family has understands that piece, and we've had to make some sacrifices as a family, and certainly we've all had to pitch in order to make that happen.
I think you bring up a couple good points though, bringing in the whole student loan and the forgiveness side of things, and kind of how Nova Scotia has been able to take some steps towards kind of alleviating some of those loan concerns has been huge. So I think just continuing along in that work, and as you were saying, it's one of those large issues that's it's gonna
take a while. There's no shortage of complex things to work on in this province.
Yeah, exactly. No, but really love that answer, and thank you. So it kind of just brings us into the last kind of shorter questions. The first of which being, if do you have a certain message that you'd give out just to those students that may be showing up to the polls for the first time, maybe just trying to get into Nova Scotia provincial politics and that kind of realm? If you had a little message for us that would be fantastic.
Yeah, so I mean, I love politics. I love provincial politics. It's health, education, community services.
Yeah.
It's kind of those everyday touch points that we have. So just really encouraging people to be engaged. Looking at the different political platforms, asking tough questions. When you ask tough questions, it certainly makes me better, makes me understand things. But just getting out to vote, we're so fortunate in this country to be able to vote. And
sure.
Your vote makes a difference. Every vote makes a difference. And so, being hopeful, being engaged, knowing that your thoughts and what you want in life matter, and so you get that opportunity to choose that at the polls. So, getting involved is so essential.
That's awesome. I
It's
love
exciting.
that message.
And watch the election.
Yes.
The most important part. Like, I know that, well, of course, this will be my first time that my name has been on the ballot, but my home, all across my life, very engaged. It was a big event. It was like a game. Like, it was, we would watch the election. We would wait for the results to go in. We wouldn't go to bed until it was over. Like, we were always really interested in those things. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
And I agree with you. It's super exciting, and I know that I personally love being a part of the Nova Scotia provincial politics. Like, I'm originally from Alberta,
Okay.
so every single time it's like, oh, okay, I think we know where this is going to go, guys. Like,
Yeah.
that excitement piece isn't there,
Yeah.
but I'm loving this, and I'm loving all the diverse policy platforms so far. It's been fantastic. Everything today, Michelle, fantastic. Love to hear it. And it kind of brings us into like our final, most controversial question of the day, which is, what is your go-to pizza place in Antigonish County?
So I'm going to totally sidestep that question.
No,
that's
it's
not
good.
true. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you that I love vegetarian pizza,
Yeah.
but it has to have pineapple and olives. So
Yes.
if you can give that to me on a vegetarian pizza, then I'm happy. I'll eat it anywhere, anytime. So sometimes that's a slice, sometimes that's a half. It just depends. But pizza's a mainstay at our house, especially during the election. We've eaten a lot of pizza,
yeah.
of course, amongst other things, fast foods. So pineapples and olives, I'm good. Yeah.
So basically, whatever pizza institution will allow you to put olives and pineapple
Yeah.
on the same pizza
Same slice.
and serve it right up.
That's right. It's solid. Yeah. It's
Might
good.
need to try that this weekend. Sounds pretty good.
It's good. It's really good. Yeah.
All right, well, Michelle, that brings us to the end of our questions. I'll leave the floor open to you. If you have
Yeah.
anything that you want to add quick, feel free.
So just aside from this political piece, as a healthcare worker and certainly as the CEO at RK McDonald, I do want to take a second to thank the students for last year. I will tell you, admittedly, when we heard initially that the students were coming back and we were not vaccinated and we had, housing a vulnerable population of people at RK McDonald, we were very concerned. And I have to say, the students were amazing last year. They followed all of the rules, very respectful. We did not have an outbreak. All of those, it was really a fear-based response that we had. And I commend the students and I commend the administration here for the work that you did to keep the community safe, and most especially to keep our seniors safe. It really is. This may not be the platform because it is a political platform, but
Oh my gosh.
it's all right. That's okay. It may not be the platform because it's political, but I do want you to know that as a community member and as a healthcare worker, really, really grateful for everything that you folks did to keep the community safe. It was really awesome.
That's, Michelle, like, honestly, just on behalf of all students, thank you for saying thanks.
Yeah.
And I hope that I'm not overreaching and saying this for up another 5,000 students, but we do feel like we're part of this community. We want to play our part to keep people safe.
Yeah.
And I hope that did come across last year.
Yeah, it was. And I think, it was a wonderful lesson for us as community members, right? We underestimated a little bit about the commitment. And so I think, we're really, really grateful, and things it could have gone better. It could not have gone better.
Really
so
did
thank
go
you
well.
very much for that. Yeah.
All right, thanks a ton for that, Michelle. And with that, kind of concludes our interview today. But just wanted to say thanks again for coming out, speaking on a couple of points for our students. I know everybody's going to super appreciate that. And best of luck as we wind down in this final week.
Thank you very much.
Oh, anytime.
Just glad to come.
Thank you. All right, that's it.